Hey everyone, my name is the Theme Park Evangelist. So I'm a day late getting to my weekly how to stay faithful and focused on God during difficult times. I apologize. I sincerely apologize. It turns out I came down with the norovirus for my second time ever. And granted, I didn't have it as bad this time as I did last time, but still, I had it pretty bad. And it's just like, it takes everything out of you. I literally had to force myself just to drive out to Florence yesterday to take Katie out to the health insurance place so she could go from having North Carolina insurance to Kentucky health insurance, which she's been living here for a few years, so I'm surprised it took her as long as she did. And then they were like, ma'am, if you're going to live in Kentucky, you have to have Kentucky health insurance. That's just how it works. And she's been living in Kentucky and having North Carolina health insurance these past few years. And I'm like, okay. Like, normally for me, I usually go through health insurance or go get health insurance through my job, but that's me. Just because that's the cheaper way to go about it. But anyway, so then I took her over to the Florence Mall and she went into the FYE in there. Honestly, I thought FYE was out of business. In fact, I thought they had permanently closed the FYE in the Florence Mall because for the longest time it was closed. You couldn't go in. And then they just randomly out of nowhere reopened. I was like, okay, well, that's just weird. So, God does work in mysterious ways, and I see that every single day for myself. And you don't have to, tell me over and over again that, God is real because I just have to look outside and see that he's real. I have to go through day after day to see he's real. So, just something I've learned since I turned 7 when I made that life changing commitment to become a Christian and follow him. So anyway, um, then I went took her over to Crestview Hills, and by this point, my body is just like I'm done. And I said, "You might as well just go in there." And she took a while, and she comes out and she goes, "So I have an interview with Bath and Body Works here tomorrow. So I had to borrow my dad's car just to get back here, and it's at 3 o'clock, which is ironically when I start work for the day." And I was supposed to work overnight last night. I couldn't do it. There was no way I was feeling that ill. I literally slept for 12 hours, which is pretty sad. There was no way I could have slept on my parents' couch. I appreciate their offer, but with how bad I was feeling, I decided it was just best for me to just knock it out on the bed on my bed. And even then, my bed. When I first got in my bed, even under like 5 layers of quilts, I had so many chills going up and down my body. I was like, this ain't right. And then later on in the night, I noticed that my body temperature was starting to return back to normal. And I was like, okay, so obviously it was just my body. It had nothing to do with how many blankets were on my bed. Like even now, the apartment's in the 60s, and my body is completely fine. So obviously, I was just not feeling that great. So yeah. Anyway, so we end up going over to McAllister's Deli for the very first time. Well, I've already been inside, but I had never like eaten there, and this is ironic to me because I actually had an interview for a second job, and the only reason why I could have actually worked there is if a I quit my job and went and worked over there, or b if my boss allowed me to work there every Monday and Tuesday during the winter. And unfortunately, with McAllister's Deli being a year-round establishment, they needed someone who was willing to work year-round. So, speaking of which, um, by the way, McAllister's Deli was excellent. I will definitely eat there again, especially when I'm feeling a lot better. But yeah, I'm very disappointed to say this, but come mid February, President's Day, actually, I'm gonna have to. I may have to either leave Hilton altogether or go down to one day a week. And, in some ways I'm very happy about it, and I don't really want to go into it. Not online anyway. But in some ways, I'm very disappointed because it's like, I intentionally left the airport for Hilton for reasons, and one of them was to find something better. And unfortunately, they didn't tell me off the get go that the hotel was going to slow down within a month of hiring me. They misled me. And they keep saying over and over again, oh, we're going to be busy come March. Oh, we're going to be busy come March. And I'm just like, well, that's all well and good, but, that doesn't, help me now. And even now, I've been very panicked about this. Like, honestly, my greatest fear right now, other than not being able to pay all my bills, is how my managers are going to react when I have to tell them that, I have to go. Because of the fact that, you know, I understand come March they're going to be swamped. I'm going to be working 60 hours a week for 6 months straight, but that doesn't help me come October. And I'm a very long term thinking guy, for those of you who do not know me. And I'm always thinking ahead. I'm getting married in less than 8 months. I cannot keep surviving on their hours. Even if I know for a fact that come March, I'm going to be working a crap ton of hours. It's just not going to work. So I actually found out about this job fair for public supermarkets coming to Walton or Richwood, Kentucky. So I made sure I was off all morning long, and I drove over there. And it was actually at the Hilton Cincinnati Airport in Florence, Kentucky. So I go over there and I met with the general manager, store manager, excuse me, of the Knoxville, Tennessee location. And we talked for a good 15 minutes. And she said that they'll call me back in about 24 to 48 hours. I actually got called back in 5 hours. They said, so we want to go ahead and do a second interview with you on President's Day weekend. I said, well, that's great. And then I said, oh, I'm really excited about this. I actually used to work for the company. And they said, well, in that case, we might as well go ahead and move on to the rehire process. And I was like, okay. And they basically said to me that they still want me to come in that day because they want me to go ahead and come in and start signing paperwork, getting uniform measurements, the whole 9 yards. Probably get to know a little bit more about me from my previous Publix customer service experience, blah, 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 and go from there. And then they're going to go ahead and tell me my training schedule. They're going to tell me which store I'm going to be training at. They're going to tell me which hotel they're going to be sticking me in on their expense, which is amazing. And they're going to stick me there for a week. For those of you who are new to my YouTube channel, I just got another subscriber today or yesterday, I don't know. So always appreciate new subscribers. I'm almost to 500. I'm very excited about that. Cannot wait to do a special 500 sub live stream. Wish I could afford to do something special for my 500 subs other than a live stream. I'm non for profit and I'm a Christian, so it's very hard for me to come by money. As it is, I'm doing DoorDash just to survive right now, so that's pretty sad. But, maybe, Lord willing, down the road, I can do a little bit more for you guys. Just depends on where I'm at. But yeah, I would be going back to Publix. I actually started out working for Publix back in September of 2012. I initially left back in 2019, back in June actually, because let's face it, Kentucky had no Publixes at all. God had called me to leave Florida, not Publix, but Florida altogether, just to go work for Answers in Genesis. I didn't want to leave Publix. I've got a crap ton of money saved up with my 401k and my I'm trying to remember the other one. It's my retirement plan. Sorry. And I've been still investing into it the past 6 years. Every single week, I'm always putting more into it. I have over 50 shares of Publix that I have been investing in over the past 12 years. Yeah, 12 years. So it would be nice to go back and put even more money into all my investments that I have with the company. And when I found out that Publix was coming to Northern Kentucky, and just to Kentucky in general, I was like, yay! So, yeah, I'm very excited. I'm going to go ahead and get into my vlog, but first let me use the bathroom. Alright, I'm officially back. So, more or less, for those of you who are once again new to my YouTube channel, during the winter time, I'm going to be doing various vlogs, and I always like to do at least one or maybe even two YouTube series just to keep people engaged during the winter time. Because let's face it, up north, there's not a lot to do. A lot of stuff, places are closed, a lot of places are on limited hours. Like the Kentucky Horse Park, an hour away from me, they're only open Wednesday through Saturday for so many hours. And as much as I love the Kentucky Horse Park, I have to be very mindful about when I visit because, like today, they're closed for the entire day. So, yeah, fun stuff. So, we're gonna go ahead and get into my weekly topic on how to stay faithful and focused on God during difficult times. And this week's topic is ironically going to be on car problems. And I chose this topic not just because I'm dealing with car problems, but because January is literally, and I wouldn't be surprised if Google even is going to be on my side on this or not, the number one month for car problems, more than any month of the year. I literally was just at Bob Summerall on US 42 in Florence, Kentucky. It's a AAA owned store for those of you who do not know. And it was like a graveyard of cars. It was almost impossible to find a parking spot because almost every parking spot was taken up by a broken down car. Because they literally could not find, or they literally do not have enough room in their garage to put all the broken down cars. So they have to go out in the parking lot just to bring in a car. It's pretty frustrating. So to make a long story short, I was working at the Creation Museum at the time when I first bought my second car, which was a SUV. I never owned an SUV before in my life, and it was getting ready to actually. I think it was the same day that I started at the airport, but don't quote me on that. But anyway, um, I was working at the Creation Museum, if I'm not mistaken, but I was also in the process of starting at the airport. And, I figured it was time to trade out the 2016 Ford Focus I had. I actually was at SeaWorld Orlando when Katie called me. Actually, I was on my way to SeaWorld Orlando. Let me back up. And Katie said, hey, the brake light fluid, or the brake fluid light came on your car. And I was like begging and pleading with her, please take it to AAA. I gotta find out what's going on. And she started arguing with me, but she finally caved in and took it over. To make a long story short, they basically said that it was going to cost a few $1,000s to fix a car. I said there was no way that car was worth that much. The car had been paid off now for a couple of years. So I was like, maybe even a few years. No, it had been a couple of years. Sorry, it's now 2025. Last year was 2024. So I was like, I'm just going to trade it out at this point. It's not worth it. The car could still run, but only on low speeds. So at least it was drivable. I mean, I'll give it that. And, I spent the entire month of March just looking around. And my dad came up with the idea, well, let's go over to Cary Hyundai in Florence. And I was like, okay. So we went over there. And I met with this really nice sales agent called Oliver. And he showed me a 2017 Kia Sorento, and I absolutely loved it. Now, here's what really frustrates me is the fact that when I was signing the paperwork with the finance guy, he went over everything except for all of this fine print of the lifetime powertrain warranty. He mentioned to me there was a lifetime powertrain warranty, but he didn't mention all the fine details about it. He basically said there's a lifetime powertrain warranty. If something were to happen to the car, you can take it in to get it fixed. Every single time I had gone to him about the car, he kept agreeing with me, oh yeah, you should be able to get that fixed. and you should be able to get any internal engine issue fixed. He was completely on my side for a very long time, and I was like, okay, this is great. At first I had the sales agent on my side. I had both finance guys on my side because at first, there was the whole um, fact that there was all the car was still drivable at the time, and because it had not been that long since the car initially started breaking down back in July of last year, that there the car still could have been easily fixed for a much cheaper price if they had actually taken it seriously. However, though, I didn't expect it to escalate to the point where it is right now. So, when the car did finally break down on New Year's Eve last year, to the point where it was no longer drivable, and I barely even made it to the dealership, did things take a turn for the worst. And I would never wish this upon anybody. Never. I literally got down to Cary Hyundai, and they basically, after the car got taken in, and the service manager did look at the car for free. He found out what was wrong with the car. As soon as we found out what was wrong with the car, that's when things really took a turn for the worst. And then finance, more or less, then came to me and asked me at that point if I had gotten the car's oil changed or done anywhere else. And as I had told finance more than once, the car had been having issues since July, and I had explained this to him. I explained it to the sales agent that the car had been leaking oil since July. That it was coming up a quarter more short every single time. I was forced to stop at Walmart, just add oil. I was forced to buy it by the quart and add oil. I didn't have a choice. I couldn't just sit around and wait for them for 2 weeks. I had even contacted them more than once trying to make appointments with them, and they kept saying, "Oh, we're booked solid for the next 2 3 weeks," and I was like, "Crap, I don't know what to do." So I didn't have a choice. I had to take it to somewhere where I knew I could get it done quickly. Because let's face it, if I had not, the car never would have lasted as long as it did. So it was because of my quick thinking that the car had made it as long as it did. Once again, let me remind you, I never got told all the fine details about the warranty until he called me at work one day in the laundry room. And then that's when he read me the warranty. And I was like, what? So, of course, I told my dad. And that's when my dad got involved. And it got even worse because of the fact that they now know they're in trouble. Now, don't get me wrong, I love that my dad got involved, but maybe my dad needs to tone it down a bit, but that's just me. But otherwise, I do appreciate the fact that my dad has gotten involved. I really do appreciate it. And it has helped me to truly see that they've been putting the sheet, or like putting the sheepfold or whatever, the blindfold over me all this time, and I didn't even realize it. So, like, right now, I have a copy of the warranty finally that I never actually had before. I only signed it for the very first time yesterday, and I'm confused because I swear I had signed it back last March, but apparently I never did. I was just told about it, but I never actually signed it. And I was like, because if I have signed it before, I want to see the original that I signed on March 28th with my signature and the date that I dated. I want to see the original from March 28th of 2024, not the one from yesterday, just to prove me wrong. And it's just been getting really discouraging because Katie and I have been sharing her car. Her car is 15 years old. I don't know how much longer it's going to last. The car already took a turn for the worse, and it's only because of my future in laws the car is still running. Let's just say they had dumped $3,000 in the car, but Anyway, it's just been one of those times when you just almost wonder, where's God? And I know there's a lot of you guys who are thinking that way. I mean, 2025, there is a massive fire outbreak in California right now, and there's too much fire and not enough firefighters. And every day people are praying for California right now. So I mean, I get it. There's a lot going on, and the year just started. And I mean, it's only 14 days in, but I know God is still there, and here's why. First of all, I'm still I still have a roof over my head. Secondly, um, I'm still able to eat and drink. I may not always have as much food and drinks as I always want, but I still have food and drinks every single day because God has been blessing me with DoorDash. That's why. Thirdly, oh, 1 second, by the way. Sorry, I just decided to all of a sudden set my alarm for tomorrow morning, or it's gonna drive me crazy. Part of the autism. But anyway, thirdly, the fact that I always have gas in the car. I have never ran out of gas on the interstate yet. And I don't ever want to learn what that's like, especially in the dead of winter. It's not a pleasant experience. Um, I'll just do two more. Fourthly, um, I always still manage to find money to go and eat out once in a while. Yeah, last night I ate at McAllister's. Today I got a quick meal from McDonald's. And then, last but not least, I always find money to buy my coffee. Whether it's I have coffee at home or whether I have coffee at Speedway, whichever. God has been, taking care of me every single day. I have been in the same situation since October. Sure, it's been getting worse, but you know what? God's been providing. I'm keeping money in my bank account, even when I accidentally go way into overdraft, and then my Disney bank decides to slap that $25 overdraft fee onto me, which has been killing me. I still managed to survive every single time. I just keep doing DoorDash. If it's an emergency, I just have it go onto my other debit card. If I know I can afford it, I'll go ahead and do some DoorDash for the day and have it instantly pay out onto my debit card, and I have more money in my bank account. It's kind of nice. Like I literally went from negative $45 not too long ago, and I'm already doing way better than I was doing not even a few days ago. And I'm gonna tell you guys how much I have, but just to prove anything, the fact that I went from negative $45 and I've been making a minimum of $150 a week from DoorDash says a lot. So I'm definitely surviving. Now, some of you DoorDashers might say that's not a lot of money, but for me, that's a pretty good amount considering I don't go out for a long time. Some DoorDashers are out there for hours. But for me, I usually just go out for a couple of hours at a time, a few hours at a time. I don't usually do more than 5 orders a day. Today I just did four, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't, great either. But hey, I did pretty well today for just a few hours. Actually, for just 2 hours, I made less than $30. So, I mean, I'm not going to complain. And that was more money I got to put in my bank account and go back out there again tomorrow and see how that goes. So, you know what? God's been taking care of me. God's been taking care of me through these car problems. I am very stressed out because Katie has an assistant manager interview, assistant manager position interview later on again today for FYE at the Florence Mall. And with us only having one vehicle right now, it's, stressing me out because I feel like I'm at a dead stop with the car situation, but at the same time, I know God's going to work things out. I don't know what's going to happen with my car. I really don't. I also know my parents can't exactly force me to keep doing things their way for much longer either. It's going to come down to the point where, I might just have to just go, forget this. I'm just going to do things my way. I might have to just say eventually, if I can't get even the Kerry Hyundai in Alexandria, Kentucky to cooperate with me, I might have to take or have the car towed over to Carvana, or have Carvana come and pick it up themselves if they're able to, even if it is from that dealership, and bring me my car. Because apparently Carvana does that. They will deliver you a car right to your door. So I could have them deliver it all the way down here to Dry Ridge, which would be hilarious, but But you never know what could happen. And I feel like God also had this happen in the winter for a reason. Why he had it happen now, not March. Because of the fact that God knows now Katie doesn't really need a car right now. God also knows I'm not driving a whole lot other than for DoorDash. God has a reason for everything. We may not understand it, but God has a reason for it. And right now, I just got to stay faithful and focused on Him and just have trust in Him, even when it seems like my world is falling apart. And it's not just my world that seems to be falling apart, it's Katie's too. But at the end of the day, God is still up there. He's still in control. He's still on his throne. Even though the mockers are still saying that God is dead, and it's like, mm-mm. If he was dead, then I wouldn't be having as much fortune or favor as I've been having. And I know some of you non-religious people, will go with that, would say, "Oh, that's just positive vibes," or "That's just good luck." It's like, no, no. I don't really believe in any of that stuff. I know for a fact that God's watching out for me, and He's watching out for you too. You just gotta accept that. So I'm almost at the 30-minute mark. It's almost 2 o'clock. I am gonna try to get one more vlog in today. I just want to do another vlog about how DoorDash has been going for me. I'll spend a little bit more time talking about that before I go ahead and head to work for the day. But I I'm very happy at least I got this vlog in today, and I look forward to seeing you guys again in the next vlog. And always remember, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Have a great day. Peace out. And stay warm or safe wherever you are.